Hi, welcome to my video on the review 5 of polynomial functions. This is a review of the full unit, but these questions are going to be objective questions, that is a single answer. And the total of this review is out of 26 if you need to score each question correct. And you total up each page and get your mark out of 26 and convert it to percent. Here we go, total review. Name the polynomial. So notice it's 6x plus 7x cubed minus 4 plus 3x squared. So in descending order is 7x cubed plus 3x squared plus 6x minus 4. So in descending order, this is a 3, highest degree. So degree 3 is a cubic. Quartic is degree 4. Quadratic is degree 2, that's a quadratic, can't read right. Quartix is degree 4, and a quintix is degree 5, so that's the leading power of 3. Give yourself a mark. Which equation can represent the graph? So I have 4 equations, and let's look at in terms of up or down. If it goes up, is a is greater than 0. If it goes down, a is less than 0. So it's greater than, it's not going up, it's going down on the right. So it's less than 0. So now we look at that's a negative 4, so we need the opposite, so we need a plus 4. So opposite of negative 1 is plus 1. Opposite of 1 is a minus 1. And because it's bouncing off as a square, the opposite of 3 is a negative 3. So D is the correct answer. So if you have D, give yourself a mark. Which graph represents a quartic polynomial? Quartic polynomial is degree 4. So right here is bouncing off, so that's a 2. That's going on through, so that's a 1 degree. And that's bouncing off, so that's a 2. So that's degree 5, that's a quintix. That's going on through, so 1 there. That's going through here, so that's a linear, degree 1. And that's a linear, degree 1, so that's a cubic. And we need degree 4. This is a sideways S, because that's a sideways S, that's a 3 there. And that's the linear going through, so there's the 4. C is the answer. So if you have C, give yourself a mark. And just check this one. This one is bouncing off, so 2 here, 1 here, going through, and bouncing off again. That's 2, so that's a 5. But notice this was a positive A because it's going up from the x-intercept on the right, and this is a negative because it's going down from the furthest x-intercept on the right. Total of 3 for the first page. And let's continue. Don't forget, you can pause your video and work each of these pages out first. Which one below represents an odd degree with a less than 0? So an odd degree would be a linear. An odd degree, that means it's moving that way. And let's draw another one. An odd degree is a is less than 0 will be this, so that's down. And odd is 1 intercept, 2 intercepts, 3 intercepts. So there's an odd one. And another odd one would be, again, is going down. So it would be up like that. And you keep going. So notice that we have 1 intercept here, 3 here, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So that's a 1, 3, and 5. And all of these are going down. So all of these, as x goes to infinity, y is going to negative infinity. So it's this one or this one. So we have 2 of these, it's not these. And as we go this way, as x goes to negative infinity, y is going to positive infinity. So it's not this one. So this is the one. D is the correct answer. Give yourself a mark if you have D. Notice odd ones are start in quadrant 4 and end in quadrant 2. Complete the chart. Now, the number of x, the x-intercept here, we have a 2. And 2 has a sideways S, a multiplicity of 3. It's cubic. Negative 1 is an intercept, and that's a linear because it's going on through multiplicity of 1. And that's an intercept of negative 3, and the multiplicity is 2 because it's bouncing off for tangents. Okay. And if you have all this correct, give yourself a mark. Draw the graph of the polynomial. A is greater than 0. That means it's going up from the x-intercept on the right. It's tangent at 3. So if it's tangent right here, it's either bouncing off coming this way or it's bouncing off coming this way. So because A is greater than 0, that means I'm coming down and it's going to bounce off. So I have that. I got a y-intercept of 0. So the y-intercept is 0 and negative 4x intercept with a multiplicity of 3. So it's going through here. Its y-intercept of 0, so it's going through here and here. So it's coming down from here, bouncing off, going up, and it's going, y-intercept of 0, so it's going on through. And it's a multiplicity of 3 at negative 4. So it's coming down, down, it turns, and as it goes up, a multiplicity of 3 means it's cubic. So at negative 4, there's a sideways S. So if you have the graph drawn like that, give yourself a mark. 3 for that page. Hopefully everything is going well. And the questions are made out in order of the videos. Write x minus 3 squared, x plus I times x minus I in general form. So general form means a general form is a x to the n plus b x to the n minus 1, etc. So we got to simplify it. So x minus 3 times x minus 3. So I'll do the FOIL on that, or I could do the pattern for squaring. So when I multiply this, I will get x times x is x squared. That's a negative 3x outside, negative 3x inside. So that's a negative 6x. Negative 3 times negative 3 is 9. So let's multiply these two. X times x is x squared. And that's negative ix. This is a positive ix that cancels out. And inside here, we get a negative I squared. And a negative I squared is the negative of I squared is negative 1. So that becomes a plus 1. So rather than put that down and write it again, I just simplified it here and put the plus 1 there. Now I have to do distribute this trinomial through this binomial. So x squared times x to the 4. X squared times 1 is 1x squared. Negative 6x times x squared, negative 6x cubed. Negative 6x times 1, negative 6x. Negative 9 times x squared, negative 9x squared. Positive 9 times x squared is 9x squared. Positive 9 times 1 is 9. Now we have to put in descending order. We have an x to the 4th. We have 1x cubed, so it's x, 6x cubed. X squared and 9x squared makes it 10x squared. And we have a negative 6x and a plus 9. So there's the general form. Give yourself a mark if you have that in descending order. Divide this polynomial by x minus 2 using synthetic division. Well, synthetic division, I'm dividing by x minus 2, so I have to put a 2 in front. And this has to be in descending order. So I put x cubed first, so that's a 1. I put x squared next, so that's negative 3. I put x next, so that's a 4. And negative 2. So there's the descending order. It's not in descending order here. So it's an x cubed minus 3x squared plus 4x minus 2. Draw a line. Bring down your 1. 2 times 1 is 2. Add negative 1. Multiply. Negative 2. Add 2. Multiply. 4. Add 2. So this is your remainder here. This is your quotient. So that's the division. If you have that done like that, then give yourself a mark. Number 9, the p of x equals this. There's a quartic polynomial, but it's 5 degrees because it's quartic, because it's degree 4. Find the p of negative 1. Sorry, the p of 1. So the p of 1, x is 1. So I can sub 1 in and take my time and sub 1 in. Really, I didn't have to sub 1 in. I'll tell you what I mean in a minute. So when I sub 1 in to p of 1, sub 1 in for x, 1 to the fourth is 1. 1 cubed is 1, you get negative 6. 1 squared is 1, so you get a plus 4. And you get negative 1 plus 2. And when you add all that up, you get, let's see, that's negative, and they're gone. So you get 6 minus 6, you get a 0. And because you're subbing in 1, putting 1 in for x, that means your coefficients are going to add up to 0. So if you add them up, you get 4, 6, 7, negative 6, negative 1, and negative 7, you get a 0. So if you have 0 remainder, you get 1 mark. Take the quotient of the synthetic division in terms of x. So this is an x plus 3 divided into, this is constant as an x squared, x cubed, x to the fourth. So this is 1x to the fourth plus 5x cubed plus 0x squared minus 13x minus 9. So when I find a quotient and bring down the 1, multiply, negative 3, add 2, multiply, negative 6, add, negative 6, multiply, 18, add, 5, multiply, negative 15, add, negative 24. So the quotient is your, this part here, this is your remainder. So this is your what you call your quotient. And if that remainder was 0, this would have been a depressed equation. So that's x to the fourth. So this is x cubed plus x squared plus 2x squared minus 6x plus 5. That's your quotient. If you have that, give yourself a mark. If the p of x is divided by x minus a, then the p of a is, and if you sub the a, the opposite of this, into here, then the p of a is what you call your r, your remainder. So if you have your remainder here written out, give yourself a mark. The p of x equals 6x to the 81, 3x to the 40, minus 2x to the 9, plus 7. Find the p of negative 1. So what happens? The p of negative 1 is being subbed in. So let's take our time. We're subbing in negative 1 in for x. Done. And now we're going to work this out. Negative 1 to an odd power is negative. So negative 6 times negative 1 is negative 6. Negative 1 to an even power is positive. So 3 times 1 is 3. Negative 1 to an odd power is negative. Negative 2 times negative 1 is plus 2. And if you add all that up, you get 6. So that's a 12. Minus 6 is 6. If you have 6, give yourself 1. You would not do synthetic division on this. You would do a sub in like we did here. 6 marks for that page. And let's continue. Hopefully everything is going well and you understand this unit. If this polynomial, x to the fourth plus 6x cubed plus 2k x squared minus 11 is divided by x plus 2, the remainder is negative 3. So this is 4, 3, 2, is not in descending order. So what I'm going to do is, rather than divide it out, I'm going to do synthetic division with a negative 2. But I have to make sure this is in descending order. So there's a 4, 3, 2, the x is missing. We got 0x missing. So that's a 1. Or I could do synthetic division like I'm doing here. A 6 and a 2k and a 0 and a negative 11 and work it out. Or I could, at the remainder, when I finish this, this is going to be a 3. It won't be 3 here, but whatever, if I did it this way, whatever remainder I get here, I would have to let it equal negative 3. Another way to do it might be to sub in the negative 2 for x, like this. So I'm subbing in the negative 2 for x. And when I sub the negative 2 in, that equals to the remainder of negative 3. So this might be a better way to do it. So negative 2 to the fourth power is 16. Negative 2 squared is negative 8 times 6 is negative 48. And negative 2 squared is 4, so that gives 2 times 4 is 8k. Minus 11 equals negative 3. So when I add all this up, 8k and 16 minus 48 minus 11 gives me a negative 43. So 8k is negative 3 plus 43. 8k is equal to 40, and then divide by 8. That's an 8 there. K equals 5. So if you have 5 for k, now if you want to try it with synthetic division, go ahead, but if you haven't done it before, you might get mixed up. But I'll do it. Bring down to 1, multiply, negative 2, add, 4, multiply, negative 8. Now when you add here, you get 2k minus 8. When you multiply now, you get a negative 4k plus 16. So I should have just spread out more. Now, when I add, I get a negative 4k plus 16. Now I multiply negative 2 times this one, this binomial. That's 8k minus 32. And then when I add that up, I get 8k minus 43. And that's my remainder. So that remainder is equal to the negative 3. So if we did it this way, you would come to the remainder right here. When you add a negative 11 to 8k minus 32, you would get this. And this is your remainder right here. So that remainder equals just like there. Number 14, if x plus 4 is a factor of the p of x, then the value of the p of a negative 4 is 0. So if that's a factor, then when you sub the negative 4 in, it gives you a remainder of 0. Give yourself a mark. Find the value of k of x minus 4 as a factor of this polynomial. Remember, it was a factor, so what happens if you sub it in? So that's a factor, so I'm subbing 4 in. That's a minus 4, so I'm subbing 4 in for x. And when I sub the 4 in, which I'm doing, subbing it in, remember like this question, you have a remainder of 0. So subbing 4 in gives you a 0. So that's 4 cubed, 1664. 4 squared, 16 times 10 is 160, plus 2k equals 0. So 2k plus 224 equals 0. So 2k is a negative 224 divided by 2. And k is equal to a negative 112. Okay, give yourself a mark. State all possible integral roots of this equation here. So remember, that's a 1. So because that's a 1, P is 4. Q is 1. So the factors of 1 are plus and minus 1. The factors of 4 are 1, 4, 1, 2, and 4. 4 is made of 1 times 4 or 2 times 2. So because they're integral roots and because there's a 1, then we're doing, it's the factors of 4 on top divided by the factors of 1. So that ends up to be plus or minus 1, 2, and 4. Again, because that's a 1, then we're only looking at the factors of 4. So I did the P over Q. So that's the P divided by Q as if you're having rationals. But I didn't have to do that because Q is 1 or negative 1. Then dividing by that gives you the same factors as on the top. So there's the possible integral roots or integers. Give yourself a mark if you have this. Which one below is not a possible integral root? So we have to put it in descending order. So x cubed plus 3x squared minus x minus 6. So the possible integral roots, because that's a 1, we're looking at the factors of 6. So the factors of 6 are 1, 2, 3, and 6. Yes, possible. Yes, possible. Yes, possible. No. So the answer is D. 4 is not a factor of 6. So C is the answer. Not a possible integral root. Give yourself a mark. Using the Cardi's rule for signs, state the possible number of negative real roots. Notice I left off when I reread. I had to put the real in here because negative real roots. And I had to put no is not a possible integral root. So I left it out. So I had to put, rather than rewrite the page, I wrote possible on top and real here. So the Cardi's rule for the negative. So if I put a negative x in, if I put a negative x in the place of x and work it out, that's a negative x cubed. That's positive times 6, so that's a plus 6x squared. Negative 4x minus 1 equals 0. So putting a negative x in and working out the powers, this is a negative, that's a positive, so that's one change. That's a positive to a negative, that's another change. Negative to a negative is not a change. So the number of possible negative real roots, I got 2 changes, or I could have 0 change. So if you got 2 and 0, give yourself a mark. 6 for that page. Okay. Hopefully everything is going okay. Find the zeros of this p of x. If this 2x cubed minus 14x. Notice that it has 3 roots. So we're going to let 2x cubed minus 14x equals 0. The zeros are the values of x which make the p of x equal to 0. So we want to get the p of x equal to 0. So we'll let this binomial equal 0 and we'll take out the 2x because it's common. So that gives me x squared minus 7. And we got 2x is equal to 0. So that means divide by 2, x is 0. We have x as a 7. So we have x squared minus 7 equals 0. X squared equals plus 7. And let's go up here. The square root of x squared is equal to plus minus the square root of 7. So x is equal to plus minus the root of 7. So the zeros are 0, plus minus root 7. If you have those, give yourself a mark. Number 20, solve this equation. It's cubic, and it has 4 terms, and it's in descending order. Notice that there's no, these are all positives. So a cubic root is odd, so it has at least one real root. So what I do, is x common? No. Is 1 a root? No, because they don't add up to 0. Then I look for, can I work with what we call grouping? So I can take an x squared out of here. So x squared gives me an x plus 1. I can take a plus 1 out of these two, and that gives me x plus 1. So I can solve this by what we call grouping. Done. X plus 1 is common, so you take x plus 1 out, you get x squared. Take x plus 1 out, you get plus 1. So that means x plus 1 equals 0, or x squared plus 1 equals 0. X is negative 1 there, and x squared equals negative 1. That means the square root of x squared equals plus minus the square root of negative 1. X squared is plus minus. The square root of 1 is 1, and the square root of a negative number is an I, so that's 1i. So there's 3 roots because it's x cubed, so there's negative 1 and plus I minus I. So we have that, give yourself a mark. List all the possible rational roots of this quartic. Now the possible rational roots, this is where you have to go. P is negative 9 because it's in descending order. Q is 2 in front. So the possible rational roots of P, or integral roots, is 9 is 1, 3, and 9 are the factors of 9. The factors of 2 are 1 and 2. So the rational roots is p divided by q. So we have plus minus 1, 3, 9 divided by 1 and 2. So that gives me plus minus. Dividing by 1 gives me a 1, 3, and a 9. Dividing by 2, 1 divided by 2 is a half. 3 divided by 2 is 3 over 2. And 9 divided by 2 is 9 over 2. So these are all the possible rational roots. So give yourself a mark if you have all these. Which one cannot be a rational root of this? So again, we have all the factors of p, which is 1. All the factors of q are 1, 2, and 4. So all the possible rational roots are all the factors of 1 divided. So 1 divided by 1 is 1. 1 divided by 2 is a half. 1 divided by 4 is a quarter. So all the rational roots are plus minus 1, plus minus a half, plus minus a quarter. Plus minus a half is okay. Plus minus a quarter is okay. Plus minus negative 1 is okay. But you can't have a 4. So when you take 1 and divide it by 4, you get a quarter. You can never get a 4. If you took 4 and divide it by 1, yes, you get a 4, but we have to take the factors of q and divide it by the factors of p divided by the factors of q. So it's 1 divided by the factors of 4. So 4 is the one you cannot have. 4 marks. 23, just the last page. 1 is a root of this equation. It's a cubic equation. There's 3 roots. Find the others. So I'm going to do synthetic division. Because when I do synthetic division, I'll get a remainder of 0, and I'll have a depressed equation that I'm going to solve. A cubic goes down to a quadratic. So I have descending order, important. So it's a 2, 1, negative 5, 2. Draw a line, bring down your 2, multiply, 1, add, 2, multiply, 1, add, negative 4, multiply, half of negative 4 is negative 2, and I should get a 0 remainder. Yes, that means I have a depressed equation. This 2x squared plus 2x minus 4 equals 0. Remember, that's a cubic, so it goes down to a quadratic. So I'm taking 2 out, 2x squared plus x minus 2 equals 0. I could divide by 2, so that means I have 2 times, I'm going to factor this trinomial, which is x and x. Factors of 2 are 2 and 1. Because the product is negative 2 and the sum is plus 1, so I must have a plus 2 minus 1. Multiply 2 times negative 1, negative 2. Add 2 and negative 1, 1. So that means x plus 2 is equal to 0. X is negative 2. Or x minus 1 is equal to 0. X is equal to 1. So these are the other 2 roots. If you have negative 2 and 1, then give yourself a mark. Remember, this is a constant. So a half is a root, and negative 2 is a root, and 1 is a root. So the constant you ignore, because you can't say that 2 equals 0. If you wanted to, you could divide by 2 and eliminate the 2 on each side. Divide by 2, that cancels out. But I left it there. You can't say 2 equals 0. And we're going to solve this system of equations. So they're both equal to y. So we go x cubed minus x. I'm going to put a minus 8 first in. X cubed minus x minus 8 equals negative x. So negative x is here and here. They cancel out because they're on each side. So x cubed minus 8 equals 0. So x cubed equals 8 when I move it to the right. So the cube root of x cubed equals the cube root of 8. So x equals 2. So in a square root, you do a plus minus. In a fourth root, you do plus minus. But in an odd root, the cube root of 8 is just 2. We don't need to do plus minus. So if we got a 2 is the value of x, so y equals negative x. So x is 2, so that's the negative of 2. So when x is 2, y is negative 2. So the solution is the ordered pair of 2 and negative 2. There's the solution. Give yourself a mark. So when you get x is 2, you have to sub the 2 back in to get what y is to get the ordered pair where they intersect. So 2, negative 2 is. So if we take x, if we take this ordered pair and sub it in here, it should also be true. Find the sum. Like I said, the sum of the product. Find the sum and the product of the roots. That's a mistake there. Because when you're proofreading yourself, and I'm the only one making this up, then just a little here. Find the sum and the product of the roots of this quartix. So the sum, S, I'm going to say S is the sum, is the negative b over a. A is 3, so it's the negative of 3 over, sorry, it's the negative of the negative, no, not careful. There's A, there's B, and there's K, or so it's B is 12, so that's the negative of a negative 12 over A, which is 3. So I got 12 over 3 is 4. And because that's even, then the product is equal to K over A. If that was odd, degree 3 leading, or degree 5, or degree 1, then would be negative K over A. So K is 7 over A is 3. So the sum is 4. The product is K over A. Sorry about that little confusion right here. And if you have 4 and 7 over 3, give yourself a mark. Which graph represents this equation? So you say, well, I don't have any, but notice that this is less than, no equal sign. So less than is below, and the boundary is broken, it's not solid. But also notice that all these intercepts here, 1, 1, 0, negative 1, they all have the same intercepts. So the only difference you got to recognize is that it's broken. It has to be broken. Broken is data. So it can't, this is solid. And this is solid. If I can spell solid right. So B is not and D is not, because it's a solid boundary line. So it has to be one of these two. So less than shades below. This is above. A is not the answer. So the answer is C. So I put the same x-intercepts in all the diagrams. So you had to pick out if it's solid or broken, and you had to pick out above or below. So C is the answer. Put your mark in. 1. Total up the page. When you total up your page, go back right at the beginning. And when you do, put your mark over 26. Divide 26 into your score. Convert it to a decimal. And then move it 2 places to the right to get your percent. And hopefully this little review that I did here on as objective in nature help you out and help you convince yourself if you have to go back over and look at some of the videos again. And if you like my video, click the like button. If you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button. Visit my website, www.mathfullyexplained.com, to find out more about me, my videos, and the content that's on my YouTube channel. Thank you for viewing my video. Hope the video helped you. Bye-bye.